to solving quadratics by factoring, we have to be really good factorers. So we're going to start by remembering how to determine a greatest common factor, and then how do I factor that greatest common factor out of a polynomial. That's this first video right here. The greatest common factor, the GCF, is the product of the greatest common number or coefficient from the coefficients and each common variable raised to the lowest appearing exponent. It is possible to have a GCF of 1, which means that there is nothing common between all of the terms. So when that happens, it's not that you don't have a GCF, it's that the GCF is 1. So here's how I start. I always take my smallest coefficient, the smallest coefficient, and I check to see if it goes evenly into all the other coefficients. If it does, then the GCF has to include that smallest coefficient. If it is no, then the GCF has to be a factor of the largest coefficient or the largest number. So work from the largest factor towards the smallest factor. That will be the most expedient way of finding it. Then, once you've found the greatest common coefficient, then you need to check your variable or variables. Every term has to include a variable for it to be part of the GCF, okay? If one of them doesn't include it, then it's not part of the greatest common factor. And it will, if it does, then it's going to be that variable raised to its lowest appearing exponent. Repeat that process for every single letter. If it's not part of every term, then that letter is not part of the GCF. Once you have the greatest common factor, you're going to place it in front of a set of parentheses, and then you're going to undistribute by dividing each term by that GCF. So here we go. All right, so my two coefficients are 8 and 16. Does 8 go evenly into 16? Yes, so I know that 8 has to be my greatest common coefficient. Now, does each term have a variable x? Yes and yes. So now the lowest appearing exponent is x to the first, which we just write as x. All right, so that means my GCF has to be 8x. And now I'm going to factor it out of 16x squared plus 8x. I'm going to factor it out, I'm going to put it in front, and then I'm going to divide each term by 8x, and I'm going to put that division, that remainder, into my parentheses. So 8 goes into 16 twice. One of these x's cancels, so I get 2x plus, the 8's cancel, the x's cancel, so I get 1. Now here's a way to check yourself. If you factored it out correctly, if you distribute this, you should get back to your original equation. So here's your check. 8 times 2 is 16. X times x is x squared. 8 times 1 is 8. X times 1 is x. Did we get back to our original? Then it checked. We're going to factor 6ax squared plus 9ax. This is what we're factoring. Does 6 go evenly into 9? No. So now we're going to look for factors of 9. It's 9 and 1, that doesn't work, and 3 and 3. Well, 3 works. So our GCF has to include a 3. Now look at our letters. Does each factor contain an A? Does each term contain an A? Each term has an A. So A has to be part. Does each term have an X? Yep. And what's its lowest appearing exponent? 1. So my GCF has to be 3AX. Now what we're going to do is we're going to put that out in front of a parenthesis, and we're going to divide each of our terms by 3AX. All right, so 6 divided by 3 is 2. A divided by A cancels. X squared divided by X gives me an X. Okay, 9 divided by 3 gives me 3. A divided by A cancels. That's a 1. When it cancels, it's a 1. And X divided by X cancels, so that's a 1. So I have, on the inside, 2X plus 3. So what has to happen for us to be right? If I were to multiply this back, I would get back to my original. 3 times 2 is 6. A times 1 is A. X times X is X squared, so that one worked. Plus 3 times 3 is 9. A times 1 is A. X times 1 is X. So I get back when I distribute to check it. Okay? So let's try this. I'm going to do number 1, and I'm going to let you do 2 and 3. So you'll hit the pause button after we do number 1 together. Does 15 go evenly into 35? No. So what are factors of 35 that are also factors of 15? Well, that's going to be 5. Does each term have an X? Yes. What's the lowest appearing exponent? X to the first, so I can take one of them out. Now I have to divide 35x squared by 5x. What's 35 divided by 5? 7. What's x squared divided by x? X minus, what's 15 divided by 5? 3. What's x divided by x? 1, so I don't have to write anything, and I have factored it. Now I want you to hit pause and try 2 and 3 on your own, answer the video questions, and then come back and check your work. All right, here we go. Does 7 go evenly into 35? Yes, so I can pull out a 7. Does each factor have an A? Yes, so I can pull out A to the first. Does each factor have a B? No, so I cannot pull out a B. All right, 7 divided by 7 is 1. A divided by A is 1, and B divided by 1 is B. So I have 1B minus 35 divided by 7 is 5. A squared divided by A is A. Does 8 go into 9 evenly? No. Does 9 have a factor that also is a factor of 8? No. Does each term have an X? No. So my GCF is 1. And I can't factor anything out. If I were to factor it out, it would look like 1 times 9 plus 8x squared. I'm going to do number 4 with you, and I'm going to let you do 5 and 6 as part of your video questions. All right, 10 is my smallest coefficient, Does 10 go evenly into 20? Yes. Does 10 go evenly into 12? No. So now start looking at factors of 20, all right? It's not 10. Is it 5? Does 5 go into 10? No. Does 5, or yes. Does 5 go into 12? No. Is it 2? Does 2 go into 20? Yes. Does 2 go into 10? Yes. Does 2 go into 12? Yes. So we're going to take out a 2. Does each term have an x? No. Does each term have a y? No. So all I can take out is 2, and I get negative 5x to the fourth plus 10y squared plus 6x. That's all I can do. All right, hit pause, come back and answer the video questions, and then come back and see if you got it right. All right, the GCF, I have a 1, a 4, and a 16. So my greatest common number is 1. Does each of my terms have an x? No, so I can't take any out. Do each of my terms have a y? Yes, so I can take y to the first out. My GCF is equal to 1y, or just y. All right, 4 divided by 1 is 4. X squared divided by 1 is x squared. Y divided by y cancels. Minus 16 divided by 1 is 16. X divided by 1 is x. Y divided by y cancels. Minus 1 divided by 1 is 1. Y squared divided by y is y. So my factor is, that looks really bad. One y times, in parentheses, 4x squared minus 16x minus 1y. Number 6, we're looking at 7 going evenly into 14 and 21. That is the case. So 7 is my greatest common coefficient. Does each of my terms have an variable a? Yes. So I take it out to the lowest appearing exponent, which is understood to be 1. Does each of my terms have a b squared, or have a b? Yes, yes, yes. What is the lowest appearing exponent on the b's? B squared. Does each of my terms have a c? C, C, C. Yes, they do. So my lowest appearing exponent is c squared. All right, and I'm going to divide each term by my greatest common factor. All right, 14 divided by 7 is 2. A divided by A cancels. B squared divided by B squared cancels. C cubed divided by C squared is C. Minus 21 divided by 7 is 3. A squared divided by A is A. B cubed divided by B squared is B. C squared divided by C squared cancels. 7 divided by 7 is 1. A divided by A is 1. It cancels. B squared divided by B squared cancels. C squared divided by C squared cancels. So we get just a 1 as our last term. And remember, you can check any of these by distributing them back again to see if you get back to the original, okay? All right, so that's it for this video. We're going to do factoring by grouping on the next video.